I have a question for you. What are the moisture levels in your soil profile right now? Can you give me an actual answer to that? Or is your answer, well, I mean, it rained a little bit lately, so probably pretty good. Or, oh, it's been kind of dry lately, so maybe not so good. For me, those answers just don't cut it. That's why I use GroGuru. We're back out in our wheat field, part 2 of growing with GroGuru. Now, if you haven't seen the first video in this series called When the Soil Speaks, I Listen with Technology, featuring GroGuru, watch this video through all the way, please, and then go back and watch that so you get all the context you need. And who knows, maybe you'll come back and watch this one again. Yes, I would like the view times. Now, in the last episode, when we were talking about the state of our soil up here on our Lee's wheat field, things weren't looking particularly rosy. Things have since improved in the moisture department. Now, we got a little hail up here too, which didn't really help things. But we're not so much worried about that right now as we are about the state of our soil. In this episode, we're going to take a deep dive into our soil here and take a look at water infiltration, soil moisture throughout the entire profile, root zone activity, and we're going to hear from GroGuru's own soil moisture guru, David Sloan. David's going to take a deep dive into the data from these two moisture sensors here on my Lee field and tell us what exactly he's seeing in the root zone. Because right now, the data that we are getting from those isn't really going to give us a whole lot more benefit for the wheat out here. The wheat's pretty well done growing. There's some volunteer triticale out here, but we're not going to talk about that right now. The data that we want to see now is going to give us better information about future decisions. Because after we take this wheat off, we're coming in here with a multi-species cover crop. And here in north central Kansas, where rain in the summertime is a little bit hard to come by, knowing the state of your soil before planting a cover crop is key. Now, as much as I hate to leave what is going to be another beautiful Kansas sunset here on the hill, we need to get back to the office so we can dig into the data. Also, I am getting eaten alive by mosquitoes up here, and I did not bring bug spray, so I'm going to go now. See you in just a minute. Now that we're back in the office, let's hear from David.
Hey, Taylor. So what I'm looking at here is the summary graph for the east probe. And clearly I've got the rainfall overlaid on that. So I've checked the rainfall checkbox. And clearly we can see that very large rainfall event was 2.5 inches, and you had rain either side of that. So I'm not sure exactly what you had in total, but I guess you will. And then, we see the soil wet up, and it then the crop really started to drink. So that's stair-stepping through here. If I take the rainfall off, you can see the stair-stepping. Just going to let this catch up. That stair-stepping is the crop drinking day, night, day, night. So we can actually see that it's really, really using the water. Went flat here because I think you got some more rain, cooler, cloudy weather, and then it started to pick up, and then you got some more rain, some cooler, cloudy weather. So, we can really watch the plant response. If I flip over to the moisture graph, first thing I want to show you is that the crop was really pulling moisture at that orange line. It was all the way down to the orange line. So the blue at 6, the green at 10. The red at 18, and then we're going at that orange line. And also we can see that rain, it completely filled the blue, the green, the red lines, and it was starting to fill that orange line. Didn't quite get back to where it started. Another way to look at this is to use the plus icon to call it the stacking. And so what that's going to do is spread these apart and put the top sensor at the top of the graph. It's actually a more intuitive way of looking at things. So we can see also when things got going, there was a little bit of a delay, as the roots had to grow down and become active, and then we can see that really wetting up. And probably just starting to go, then you might have had a little bit more rainy weather. But once it warmed up and it really got going, I mean, it was pulling moisture, and it was pulling moisture from all the levels. And then it started to pull from that grey line at 34. It hasn't really started stepping at the pink line at 42, but that's probably because it's dry. You got to have moisture down there to be able to pull it out. So we can see that it just started to wet up again at that blue line at 6. So if it's doing that at 6, everything above that should be pretty wet. And when it was, but also what's interesting to see is the blue line, the stair steps get really small. Why? Because it's drying out. And the same thing happens at the green line, it's drying out. Even when you got that rain, it's still pulling at lower levels. So it was still trying to keep up with its plant demand, even though the moisture was going up. So yeah, you got to look at the actual shape of the curve. And yeah, when it is flattening, that's because it's just running out of moisture. And so you will see from the crop, it could even have happened already. 2nd of June, it's gone flat. And when it's gone completely flat, that could be the crop senescing and turning yellow. So wheat's funny like that. It'll just step, and then just stop. And, then it's done. If we flip over and look at the west side, very, very similar. I probably don't need to explain the summary graph here, so let's go straight to the moisture graph. Just give it a little minute. And so, we can see with the rainfall exactly what was going on. It's pretty interesting, though, and I'll use the stacking, but when that rain fell, it went straight to that orange line, which is actually deeper than the red line. And so it's kind of, I think what's happened is it had a crack, and it's kind of gone in the topsoil, and then it's gone past the green line and the red line, and it's sort of hit the bottom of the crack and wet that up. And then these other ones, the crack slowly over the course of time filled in. That's what that looks like to me. Turn off the rain, and I'm going to use the stacking. It's interesting. I think there was a little bit of cracking happening. A bit of an air gap had formed around that 18-inch mark. What's really interesting is the other site, other probe, started to pull moisture at the grey line at 34. We're not doing that here. Maybe we are, just a little bit, but it's also got to have moisture there to be able to pull it back out. And we didn't see any moisture go in. But what I can tell you is that you're very dry again. So if you didn't get that rainfall, all this, you can see how this was tailing away to not much, and then that rain came hopefully just in time, and it really made that crop. And then we can see the crop taking it back out, and these all went flat. They went flat at their driest point, so I'm going to guess that it's pretty damn dry out there, and you got a little bit of moisture, and now it's finished off. So can't help the weather, but well, it'd be interesting to see if that's fully senesced. I'm going to guess it probably has right now. So the expectation would be they'll just continue to be flat. Hopefully this helps. Yeah, can't wait to see you next post. Thanks. Bye.
Like I told you, he has tremendous amounts of insights. And again, thank you, David, for making that video and kind of walking us through everything that you're seeing from your side of things. Now, David is able to get a pretty good idea of what my soil looks like. And Lord knows where he is right now. He could be thousands of miles away. But as soon as he looks at my data, he can give me a pretty good picture of what he's actually seeing out there. Here's what we're looking at today, as of June 26th, 2025. So right now my cursor's sitting on June 5th, where David was when he made that video. So you can see, yeah, we were pretty dry. And luckily for us, on June 6th, we got a wetting event. And due to that volunteer triticale, however, though, it started stair-stepping down. The triticale is probably a week or two at least behind the wheat. So it was still finishing filling while the wheat at this point was starting to dry down. And it was starting to pull pretty hard on the moisture, which you can see right there. Before we got our next wetting event, we were all the way down to 22% in that top 6 inches. Not a great thing. Thankfully, we got a rain. And it still kind of went down a little bit. That triticale is not pulling quite as hard, but thankfully we got another wetting event and popped it up a little bit more. Looking over all of this data over the last 3 months, I'm seeing two things that are really standing out to me here. One, not so great thing, but nothing I can really do anything about at the moment. And the second thing, a really great thing that speaks to my
broader management decisions on this field for the last 15 years that I've been farming it. First off, we'll start with the not so great thing that we're seeing. Now, it's nice we've been getting some moisture through here and here, and it's done a decent bit of, helping to the 6 and 10-inch layers. However, 18, 26 inches down, it's bone dry. Especially down there at 18 inches. That is as dry as that's pretty much ever been down there. Not having moisture in that profile is going to make it tougher for those roots to soak up any nutrients that could be down in that lower soil to pull up in the plant and grow, which will very more than likely hinder any root growth of stuff going down that deep. And then on top of that, not being able to get nutrients, not having moisture is a real problem. In the words of the philosopher Luke Bryan, rain is a good thing. And down there at 18 inches, it needs some more of it. But because I want to end on a positive note, because we truly are in a much better place now than we were when I made my last video about this leaf field, I want to show you the thing that makes me really happy that I'm seeing in the moisture profile here. This leaf field used to have one of the worst hard pans or plow pans, whatever you want to call it, on the entire farm. At about 10 inches, 12 inches, depending on where you were in the field, it was basically just a layer of concrete. And those roots would go down and then boom, go lateral. There was nothing that could be done about it short of going ridiculously deep with and just ripping everything out. I decided to go a different route though. And 15 years ago, I started doing no-till, cover crop, stuff like that up there. And we can see here by this data that these practices that I put into place all these years are really, really starting to show their benefits. If we go back here to the data, first part of May, we are pulling moisture down through the 6-inch, 10-inch, and then right here, 18 inches down, we have root activity. It's starting to pull moisture. And then over here, see what day would that be? That'd be the 13th of May. We're pulling moisture out of the 26-inch layer as well. So we have root activity down there. And go all the way over here. This is what David was talking about earlier. All of a sudden we see root activity down at 34 inches. It is pulling moisture all the way from that deep into the soil. That is quite amazing for just hard red winter wheat. For it to be pulling that deep in that kind of rocky ground, that means that all these years of no-till cover crops, everything else has been worth it because now the soil is opened up. The roots can go deep. The moisture can soak all the way through the profile. And now we have much healthier soil to help those crops hold on for just a little bit longer. In our somewhat arid part of Kansas, the more water holding capacity we have, the more abilities for those roots to go deeper, the better off we'll be because we'll have that much more flexibility when we go long periods of time without rain. So we've seen the past. Now what about the future? Because earlier I talked about that the moisture data that we're seeing here isn't going to affect the wheat anymore. It is done, it's filled, it's drying down or dried down, and as soon as the ground is a little less mucky from the couple of rains we've had lately, we'll be in there and we'll get that wheat harvested. What does that mean for the cover crop that I've got coming next? Well, that means what I'm seeing here is that we do have a decent bit of moisture in that 6 to 10 inch layers. What would be nice is if we would get more moisture down to that 18 and 26. I would love to see a couple more rains to get down there. But while we have that top little bit of moisture in that 6 and 10 inch layers, that lets me know that as soon as that wheat comes out, as soon as that ground is able to be planted, that cover crop is going in. Because there's moisture up there in that 6 and 10 inch layer that will just get evaporated out under that hot Kansas sun as soon as all of that canopy from the winter wheat and volunteer triticale is all harvested off and gone. And unfortunately, the wheat is laying over. It's got a real bad lean to it. We've had some real high winds and stuff. So I've got to go really low with the harvester to get all of it, which is only going to leave straw about that tall, plus whatever gets flung out the back of the combine to cover the soil. And it won't take long. Just bake all that moisture out of there. So we need to get something in there and growing to get that soil shaded, covered, armored up. And I would rather use a little bit of moisture to grow the cover crop than just see it go into the air through evaporation. But with this cover crop also comes an experiment that I really have been excited to do and is only possible now because of GroGuru and them putting 2 probes in the same field for me. Under one probe, I'm going to plant cover crop through the wheat stubble. On the other probe, I'm going to treat it exactly like summer fallow. I'm not going to plant any cover crop within, an air seeder's width over the top of it, around it. I don't want anything pulling moisture out of that area other than, some weeds that would come up that I'll have to go out there and probably hand spray so I don't nuke the cover crop. And what moisture we'll be also losing to evaporation, because I want to see how much more moisture does a healthy cover crop pull from the soil than we would typically lose around here by just leaving it summer fallow and losing it via evaporation. Now, I did get ahead of myself. Dadgummit. I promised myself I was going to talk about this first before I went down the rabbit hole of cover crops. Did it anyway. Oh well, we're still going to add it on anyways. We're going to talk about what the data told me about the wheat during the growing season and how it helped me make some good decisions. Now, what I'm seeing here kind of reminds me of a Kenny Rogers song. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, when to walk away, and when to run. Now, the wheat was barely holding on the first part of May. It was in a very, very rough state. And we were just losing moisture. The stuff wasn't really wanting to grow. And as we were getting closer to June, the moisture levels were just plummeting. And it was really, really stressed. Stuff was getting so bad that the wheat was turning blue. We were a week away from swathing it. It was in really bad shape. Then we got some rain. Thankfully, that saved the crop. However, part of that damage was already done because all that drought stress sent the wheat reproductive. And when it shot up, it only put on heads that were yay tall. Really small heads compared to what we normally see. Yes, they're all full of grain now because we got moisture later, but we lost a lot of top end yield potential on this wheat because it was so stressed out when it decided to go reproductive. So at this point, I knew it was time to just walk away. It was not worth spending a bunch of more money on maybe like a foliar over the top pass to add some more, nutrients to kind of give it that extra little bump to just coax out another, 5-8 bushel the acre, whatever there at the very end. It just wasn't going to happen. We had lost our top end completely. So it was just time to walk away at that point. Heck, we almost ran it through the swather, baled it up, and parked it in the corner of the field. So thankfully, the data that I saw here allowed me to make a better decision about stewarding my wheat crop. And that's just one field on the farm. Imagine having an entire set of these across your entire farm and being able to make individual decisions about each field across all of your farm, not just a one-size-fits-all thing. Say, this field got the rain, but this one didn't. So we're going to give this one the best chance to outperform, whereas this one, we're just going to let it ride and not waste any extra money on it. When I made the decision to just be like, okay, folding, walking away, that almost is just like a chapter in my brain that we are done with this chapter of wheat. All that's left is, the epilogue. We got to get it harvested and out of the field. What it is what it's going to be. Now we just got to get it out. It's time to focus on the next chapter, cover crops. I'm really excited to see what this experiment is going to all put together for us. It's been data that I've been wanting to get for years now, but didn't really have a great way to do it. Having 24/7, 365 data from these continuous root zone monitors is going to be fantastic for getting the data that I've been just jonesing for a long time. Now that we're at the end of the video, we've seen everything we're going to see. We've got plans for the future. Again, I want to say thank you to David and the team there at GroGuru for giving me the opportunity to really see what my soil can tell me with these continuous root zone moisture monitors and be able to listen. The soil's trying to talk to me. I need to be able to listen. And that's what these moisture monitors really do for me. Now, if this is something you think you'd like to give a try, I highly recommend it, especially if you're an irrigator. I am rain fed, but if you're an irrigator, there's a bunch more things you can also learn from them as well. So if it's something you'd like to take a look at, go to www.groguru.com. Take a look at what all they have to offer. And if you decide this is something you'd like to do, just let them know I sent you. Now, for me, easiest way to help out my channel, like the video, leave a comment down in the comment section. Could be just as simple as a thumbs up, or if you have any questions about these moisture sensors, and then share it with a friend. Share it with an enemy. Share it with all the irrigators in your life or all the rain-fed people in your life. And while you're doing all that, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss another video from everything we've got going on here at J-Tech Farms. I mean, heck, if you don't do that, you won't get to see the cover crop experiment. I hope to see you back next time. As always, thanks for stopping by.